The Apostle Paul wrote many letters to various churches around the Mediterranean area, uh, instructing them about who Jesus was, how he was the Messiah, how he is the Messiah, how he has fulfilled the Old Covenant, thus making all of that Mosaic law, Jewish life, the sacrificial system, and all that has become obsolete to be replaced by the New Covenant that had none of those ethical or ethnic or legalistic boundaries like is seen throughout all of the law of Moses. For I would have you know, brothers, that the gospel which was preached by me is not man's gospel. For I did not receive it from any man, nor was I taught it, but I received it through the revelation of Jesus Christ. For you have heard of my former life in Judaism, how I persecuted the church of God violently and tried to destroy it. And I was advancing in Judaism beyond many of my own age among my people. So extremely zealous was I for the traditions of my fathers. But when he who had set me apart before I was born, and who called me by his grace, was pleased to reveal his Son to me, in order that I might preach him among the Gentiles, I did not immediately consult with anyone, nor did I go up to Jerusalem to those who were apostles before me, but I went away into Arabia and returned again to Damascus. Then after 3 years I went up to Jerusalem to visit Cephas and remained with him 15 days. But I saw none of the other apostles except James, the Lord's brother. So Paul is wanting to communicate that his preaching of the gospel is not something that just somebody gave him. It was not somebody else's private interpretation. It was given to him by Jesus Christ. Or as he says, it was revealed to him. So Paul was an exceptional Pharisee. He knew the Old Covenant. He knew all the details of the law. He knew everything, how it all tied together. He understood the symbolism and the typology. But when, after a time of persecuting those who were followers of Jesus Christ, he had an encounter with Christ himself and came to realize that Jesus is the one who is the Messiah, who would fulfill everything in the Old Covenant, who would restore the relationship between God and mankind. So, and he makes the point that when he came to this realization, he didn't go find others to get their input. He actually left Israel, went down to Arabia, and after 3 years' time, he had to work through everything that he knew about the Old Covenant, and then reinterpret it all through the knowledge that Jesus is the Messiah and is the one who has fulfilled everything that the Old Covenant was pointing forward to. So he spent all that time basically reworking his worldview, reinterpreting, re-understanding everything in the Old Covenant through the lens of Jesus Christ. So after that time, he returned, and it was a difficult time initially where he had to basically convince people that this was not some sort of long play deception that he was using to try to work his way into gaining the trust of Christians so that he could arrest them. Instead, he had embraced Christ as Messiah, and he began preaching. And then after a time, the other apostles heard about what he was doing, eventually interacted with him, and embraced him as one who was faithful to Jesus Christ. As he says, he did not go up to Jerusalem. He did not seek others' input, but he did have contact with Cephas, who was a follower of Christ but not a disciple or an apostle. And he did speak with James, the brother of Jesus. So James would have been considered the first bishop in Jerusalem, which is obviously where the gospel started. Eventually the gospel moved out to Antioch and then numerous other cities, and leadership was in place that kept the church as a unified whole, bringing the gospel to not just Jews, but as Paul says, it was his responsibility to bring the gospel to the Gentiles. So with the old covenant fulfilled, with the old covenant being made obsolete, the gospel is now about, if you embrace Jesus as Messiah, if you are baptized into the church, you will be saved. So it has nothing to do with ethnicity, it has nothing to do with male or female, it has nothing to do with economics, whether you're a slave or a free man. So all of those things in the Old Covenant, the sacrificial system, circumcision, the cleanliness laws, the food laws, all those things have been made obsolete. Now it's simply a matter of loving God, loving your neighbor, and pursuing holiness, regardless of what station in life you hold.